Hey everyone, Captain Amazing here, and today I want to talk about 5 teams that are completely skippable. So let's jump into it. The first team I want to talk about is Gungans. So Gungans are a very good team. Their Jar Jar Binks is a wonderful character. The team has a lot of unique abilities. They have unique debuffs. They are the premier characters in the raid right now. So you may say like, Captain Amazing, why are Gungans completely skippable right now? And that is because if you don't have Jar Jar right now, if you don't have Gungans built right now, then the time to farm them is kind of past. Like the new raid is coming, and if you aren't already established and have your teams farmed right now, or if you're not trying to just like edge into a new tier of box, then the time to farm for the new boot raid is over, and then you should be working on probably the new things like Balin Skull, GL Ahsoka, Great Mothers, maybe like pretty much the new characters that are going to be probably in the new raid, because the team for Gungans, they're just not that great without their Datacron right now, and unfortunately they get beat by very cheaply with Treya, is with a Savage lead. So a Savage lead Treya just absolutely dunks on Gungans right now. They have a lot of off meta counters. I'm pretty sure even CLS right now just like kind of dunks on them without that Datacron. So their time, their 4 months is over with their new Datacron. The new raid, kind of the point where you should have farmed them, is over. And I would say even if you were going to farm one premier character for the raid, it's not Gungans. It should have been Quadme with the Poncho Bros, because their assault battle gives them longevity. Also, they're just like a better team. So while this team is good, and I do think if you farmed it, you're gonna get your worth out of them for the raid. Also, they're going to be super useful in Conquest for a very long time because of their unique debuffs and their unique buffs, and having a legendary character. I promise you that they're going to be useful in Conquest, but all of those things can pretty much be cheesed with the exception of having Jar Jar unlocked. But usually that's what, like 4, maybe 5 of those Conquest token thingies, I don't know, credits, that is pretty much skippable. So I would say overall, if you don't have them, skip it. If you have them at relics right now and you're waiting for Jar Jar to come, then of course unlock Jar Jar, put the investment in there, maybe two Omicrons at most. But otherwise, if you haven't farmed them yet, don't worry about it, just move on. Maybe if you get bandwidth to farm them later on, then yeah, it's not a bad team, but you kind of missed the mark already if you don't have them. All right, so the next team is Tarful. Tarful's Wookiee team is 100% skippable, and while Vandor Chewbacca is good, and he has a place with Dash. If you have Dash Omicron, there's a lot of things you can do with him. If you have young Han Solo, he ramps. But this is with Tarful lead Wookiees. They had their time to shine when Tarful had a good Datacron, and then you could get a bunch of defense, like up to 400% or something defense, and they were an amazing defensive team. But right now they're not good. They're not useful. There's no place where you really need a Wookiee tag. If you want the premier Wookiees, you're gonna have to break apart really good teams because they belong in other meta teams. So this team in itself, I'm not saying Tarful himself isn't worth farming. I will farm him for Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, which is my farm. So if you have him at gear 12, great, leave him at gear 12. Like, get him as built up as you need to unlock Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, and then forget about him. Just forget about it. There's no reason to take a just because you farm Jedi Knight Cal Kestis, there's no reason to take Tarful up to relics and then build a whole crappy Wookiee team just because you have Tarful sitting there at gear 12. Just leave him be. He's going to rock the bench. Maybe if they come out with another Datacron that elevates the Wookiee team, then you can go ahead and work them if you feel like it. But otherwise, even if I had everything in the game and I was waiting for new stuff to come out, I would rather just stockpile my resources for GL Ahsoka or Balin Skull rather than invest more in Tarful. So just not worth the investment after he's gear 12. And while Vandor Chewbacca is, the rest definitely aren't. All right, Tuskens. So Tuskens are a great team, a wonderful team. I don't hate Tuskens. Honestly, I was just talking about it in my stream today that I wish we had a Tusken bundle. Like if we could get a Tusken bundle, that would be amazing. Like I would love, absolutely love a Tusken bundle because this team is good. Like it's decent on defense. There's especially in 3v3 if you had the Tusken Raider Omicron, and if there was a bundle, 100% I would put some Zetas and an Omicron on this team because it's a decent team. The problem is it's so isolated. Like Tusken Chieftain, Tusken Warrior is expensive with Kyrotech. These other three middle ones, like Tusken Raiders, required for a GL, but otherwise, like the team is just really isolated, and there's no real reason to take Tusken Chieftain or Warrior to Relics because they're just kind of like a B- team. And while they have really strong mechanics against teams that gain turn meter, and they can be put on defense, or they could be even used as an emergency offensive team against teams that have high turn meter generation, they're just not good enough to take time to farm them unless you have literally everything in the game. So if I had everything in the game and I could stockpile resources or not, I think I would farm the Tuskens just because I think they're a fun team, and I think that should be accounted for when you farm things. But this 100% is a team I would skip because there's no reason to farm them. Even if you have the Raider and in Relics, I don't think it's worth putting the investment in the Zetas and the Omicron just to have a defensive team that gets beat to bounty hunters anyways. So, but again, I would love to have them. I would buy a bundle if it was in one, but it's definitely a skip for now. All right, so now we have is Jawas. So Jawas 100% should be skipped. There's just nothing. They have one use in the game pretty much, maybe two. Every so often we get a galactic challenge that requires Jawas, and those sociopaths that R9'd all their Jawas laugh at us and they're like, oh, look at my extra red box rewards, and we're like, yeah, cool, dude. But other than that, like, completely a skip. Even I didn't even farm the stars on them because they're in shipments. I easily farm the stars on these, but there's just like literally no point to having Jawas. This is how pathetic Jawas are. When they were a team in the crate raid where you had limited space on what you could use, even if you had them fully up relicked, they were like maybe a 200-300k point team because they suck. Like even when they were a team of the very limited scope of amount of characters that we can have for a raid, they still weren't worth farming. They still didn't make the top 5 cut of that one raid where you were limited to a very small amount of teams. So what that means to me is like these guys are always going to be useless. Like they have one use of they kill Geos, and they kill Geos very messy. So it's not even like, hey, if your opponent put Geos down, you can use Jawas. It's like, yeah, you can, but you're going to lose a ton of banners just to kill a team that almost anything else kills in the game that only loses to really new players. So would I ever invest in these guys? No, I don't think I ever would bring them higher than what they are right now. Would I buy a Lightspeed bundle that had Jawas? Yes, I would. I think I have a problem, guys, but other than that, like, useless, 100% skip. So this one is going to be a bit controversial, right? So Dr. Afra. Dr. Afra, would I skip her and her team? 100% yes. And you may say like, hey, she can kill some GLs. And I'll say she cleans up Jabba, and I would love her to have as a Jabba cleanup. If I had to use Night Sisters against Jabba, like really reliably, you can kill the sides and then it's just Jabba, and sometimes you can kill Jabba, but and then you can come in with Dr. Afra to clean it up. She beat Zori teams, but the problem is, for how expensive she is, you can farm any other premium legendary team and it would be better. Like Balin Skull is 1,000 times better than, more than likely, than what Dr. Afra is. And the problem is, and I don't even know what he is. Like I just know with having the new Night Sisters, already better than Afra. So the problem is that she's just unreliable, and I think she needs a lifter. And if she had a lifter, then she would not be a skip. She would be an immediate farm, because I think she has the potential to be good. But the problem is you're relying on RNG of them not targeting Afra for you to win. And there's nothing really stopping anyone from attacking Afra with what you can realistically put with her. And she is getting the mercenary tag, so maybe with Balin Skull, she will be elevated into usefulness, and she'll like probably be slotted in with that Balin Skull team. But unfortunately right now, like, she just is a cleanup team. And I think for how much Kyrotech and investment you have to put into her, that there's better teams to put out there. And even her Grand Arena Omicrons are only for 5v5. Like, it's murder what they did to this character as far as her usefulness and where they felt like they should leave her for how cool she is. Honestly, I think she's a really cool character, but absolutely horrible what they ended up doing as far as how useful she is. So otherwise, that's my list. I think those 5 teams are 100% skippable. I hate that I think 3 of them are really painful and are really good teams, and other 2 are complete garbage. I'll leave you up to your own opinions on which I think those are, but I would love to see Afra get something to elevate her. And if she just falls into the Balin Skull team, I do think that's kind of sucks. I think she should be the premier person on her team, and I would love to see some sort of droid tank be able to elevate her so that she can stand on her own. But we'll see how it goes. That's just my opinion of 5 teams that are just 100% skippable. Let me know in the comments what you think. Otherwise, I'll see you all next time. Take care.